moving on to Shedeur. um, yeah, so Josena Anderson, NFL reporter, have posted this tweet saying, I am disappointed to hear that a quarterback's coach from a team drafted in the top seven referred to Shedeur Sanders as coming off as brash and arrogant in his team interview um, and making his assessment. I really wish Josena wouldn't have posted that tweet. I wish she would have just kept it to herself. Uh, because I feel like you put Shedeur in a situation to where it's like when he is drafted, if he is drafted within those top seven teams, now he has to like worry about on his mental, like, is you the fuck nigga who was talking about me before you drafted me type deal, type situation. So I feel like she could have kept it to herself, and that's one less thing Shedeur got to worry about already going into the situation with obviously a million cameras on him and people want him to fail and and all that kind of stuff. But she put it out there. So with that said, let's go ahead and look at this draft list, see who these top seven teams are, and and get on with it, shall we? Top seven teams. Number one, you have and I thought top seven was very, very specific, which makes me feel like it was probably the seventh. The seventh to draft. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You don't
But
say top
sometimes,
10, you don't
they
say top
people
five.
people been around the block too, so sometimes you throw them off, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
because it could have been a top three team, but it sounds better if we say seven, right? Because
yeah,
you throw them off a bit, you throw them off your path.
yeah. So top seven, you got the Titans at one, the Browns at two, the Giants at three, the Patriots at four, Jaguars at five, Raiders at six, and at seven you have the New York Jets. By process of elimination, assuming they don't trade him, I think we
Wasn't the
get.
Raiders? Mark Davis loves Shador. Tom Brady loves Shador, so it wasn't them.
So it wasn't them. Then process of elimination also, unless they trade Trevor Lawrence, I don't think it was the Jaguars because I don't.
Or maybe it was, right? Because
They're not
you
looking
do
for a
have a new coach
quarterback.
over there who Duval, right? And it's like
He would be the one to
he
not.
lame as hell to make me think some shit.
Yeah,
But
yeah. They
one
did.
comment,
They did give
one
it a
comment I will
dub.
say just briefly about that: whoever that coach was, I guarantee you, if he does miraculously end up in that building, he will end up outlasting whoever that coach was. But he also could end up getting them paid, right? If it
That's
goes
true.
right,
Yeah,
So
I forget dude name. I do know. Obviously, yeah, like you, I forgot that they had fired old Doug Peterson. Um, was it? I don't think the Patriots. I don't think it was the Patriots. Who's their head coach now? Is
mm,
it Mike Vrabel?
it is verbal.
I don't think Mike. Well, I mean, we're talking about quarterback coach. We're not talking about head coach.
Just a good old boy, never meant no harm. It's all you ever saw. Been in trouble with the laws and the day he was born.
Yeah, I don't think it was the Raiders, like you say, the Raiders, or it could have been the Jets, man. It could have been the Jets. Who's the Jets QB coach?
What now? Well, the Jets do got a new brother and head coach. Uh, but you know what? Also, I feel like this is the biggest smear campaign of
Oh,
all time
it,
to pray to God that Shador falls to their team because we all know stuff like this traditionally comes out around this time of the year. It's the worst time of the year for PR for the quarterback. I was literally just watching quarterback out of Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, who I believe has a comparable NFL comparison to Jalen Hurts, who coincidentally he says he models his game after, and I do
from
see a
Ole
lot of that in
Miss.
his game. Yes, sir. Uh, I was watching his highlights on Twitter today, and quite literally, the start of his highlights was his ex girlfriend's TikTok starting out basically spilling the beans on how he had been cheating on her for over a year and a half. and then it gets into Bossman and D-Lo in the background and Jackson Dart just ripping it up, right? So it's just like, even
I like
in a
him.
joking
I
way,
like
right?
him.
The smear campaign is just like, you can't avoid it, right? Whether it's people posting highlights, or whether it's high media pundits or NFL personnel, trying to run your name through the mud. And a lot of times the NFL media, or in my belief, I believe they collude with these teams in order to maybe drop a person's value in hopes that they can land said player.
For
So
sure. That's a
I try not
tactic.
to take too much value in these stories come out around time of year. Although I did expect something like this to be said about Shedeur, because nobody likes a confident, black, self-assuring, rich kid who's already coming from memes, and his father is one of the greatest NFL players to ever play. Fuck that. We need you to be just grateful and happy to be here. We don't need you actually, being well off by the time you get here. That means you don't conform to our program and do what we say do and jump how high we tell you to jump, because you don't necessarily need us, right? So just a real interesting, very interesting story that was, spun today.
How good y'all think he gonna be in the league?
Man, I really feel like, and I feel like it's gonna just be about the situation, bro. You look at a situation that the Jaden Daniels goes into, and they continuously trying to make moves and acquiring Debo Samuel. So I just think like I think it's about the situation. Like just in terms of obviously the organization, but just like an offensive line, like we've seen Shedeur, fighting for his life, running for his life on the football field at the collegiate level because his, offensive line was never like top tier in any way, shape, or fashion. And so if we get a chance to see him like in a clean pocket, being able to make decisions, going through progressions, and everything isn't forced to rush, I think he could have a really good career. But obviously, if he doesn't have the requisite pieces around him to succeed, and they giving him shit hoping that he could turn it into sugar, and he struggles, people gonna say that he trash. But it's like, is he trash, or is he like not being afforded opportunities to be put into a winning type situation? And so I think going into this season, people who respect the game will look at it from that lens, I believe. But obviously, if you're already going into it with a predetermined perspective on whether or not you support Shedeur or you hate Shedeur, like there's no gray area. Like you're just hoping he either fail or he succeed. But that's my how I feel about the situation. Um, yeah. So yeah.
I think he'll gradually get great. I think he'll start off rocky, but
I
then
think if he
gradually
gets drafted to a team with a great defense, he has a chance to be successful really early. I won't say a Tom Brady trajectory in regards to like the 7 championships, but that type of career architect to where maybe you start off as a really good game manager and then you start to rip it up, a little later on in your career, like 4 to 5 years in. Um,
Yeah, I mean, and like also too, like you say, I like the point on being a game manager, Izzo, because like, bro, you could get into a good situation again, like you got just a decent play caller, offensive play caller, and you in a situation with like, hey, Shedeur, just don't fuck it up, buddy. Like
right.
we could live with that, like you say, with the complimentary football having a good defense. Like motherfuckers would be singing a different tone. Like they should say 4 or 5 years, gradually getting better. Then he really comfortable. It could be scary hours. You know what I'm saying? And I know they gonna hate him putting up the rollie then. So
And one thing I noticed too, bro, you could be as great as you want to be, man, and people will still find holes to poke in you and bring you down in any kind of way. I was reading a comment. I'm very active in social media comment section, so if you see me there, hey,
holla.
you know, fuck with you, way, But I was reading a comment and it was just like, I don't believe Shadur is going to be great in the league. I have an undrafted grade on him, undrafted free agent grade. I was like, yeah, I
Shador
didn't.
Sanders?
Yes, I didn't know that he led the FBS in completion percentage as a quarterback, but I just don't think he's going to pan out in the league.
Bro,
Like,
that's
and
a
it's just
bot.
like,
That's a bot, bro.
and I saw somebody, and it was like, you got to be careful about the verified Twitter accounts nowadays because you could just pay for a check and then kind of spew whatever you want to in order to garner ad revenue from X. But it's just like if you look at the list on who's led the FBS and completion percentage, none of those quarterbacks turned out to be anything in the league. So I I get where he's coming from, but I just don't see that, man. I definitely see Shedeur having some success in the league for sure. So people hate, man. They hate you. They'll hate you if you bad and say you suck, you ain't nothing. And then if you good, they say, oh, well, you only good because of this, and your daddy did this, and you ain't that. They'll find a way to hate you. So if they hating on you doing something right.